It's all about repositioning South Africa with all these global dynamics. But of course, someone really doesn't need an introduction. Wearing so many hats. Today, a committed South African as always. Mr. Jonas, welcome to SABC News. Maybe just first of all, sir, let's look at the significance of these trends. You spoke about this evolution from a unipolar world to a multipolar world. How should we position ourselves as South Africa?
Look, two things. I think people must not take this, what is happening globally, as a cyclical moment. I think the changes are fundamental. Wealth has shifted, fundamentally to the east, and that has to do also with production shifting as well. So that there's a fundamental change happening, and it's not short term. That's the first point. But the second point is that it has introduced fragmentation to an extent that many people think that globalization has reached its limit, as it were. And my own view is that we're not getting into a multipolar world, into a bipolar world. We're getting into a multipolar world. We're getting new centers of power emerging. We're getting new countries coming upstream, and we're getting middle powers becoming the connector countries in global trade. So instead of seeing it as the end of globalization, we should see what's happening as rewiring of globalization, and that it will take a number of shapes in terms of multilateral institutions and agencies that emerge out of the wreck of what's happening. For South Africa, it means a lot. Firstly, I think we need to position ourselves as a middle power and playing a role as a connector country. And in other words, we must put ourselves at the center of trade, of intersection between trade between the West and East, and that we maintain strategic geopolitical neutrality, but that allows us to trade with anyone we want to trade with. We must also go back and look at ways of reindustrializing and actually almost stopping the slide of deindustrialization that's happening. We must also diversify our trade and look for other partners and other trading partners across the globe. It might mean that we might have to change our trade policy, global trade policy, in ways that we have not imagined. But I think we can't take a short-term view, because history will punish us so badly if we make the wrong decision. Our view should be always medium, long-term, and South Africans should be what drive what we do.
So you spoke about the issue of national interest, but also the foreign policy that it should not be captured by business cabal and so forth. I would imagine that's also another very critical area to look at.
I think it's very clear that the state must be at the center of driving foreign policy, but it must also build consensus around what constitutes national interest. National interest should be about the development of the state. It should be about the economy, developing our economy, building inclusive economy. It should also be about values. And all of these things are enshrined in our constitution, in the Freedom Charter, and many other documents. So we must start a process of really consolidating and building consensus on what constitutes national interest. As we engage with a new global reality, we engage it armed with a clear assessment and a clear knowledge of what South Africa's national interest is.
So you also spoke about the US as a very central player. 600 American companies in South Africa. But I suppose, just in the interest of our audience, are you still engaging with your counterparts in the US?
Look, my role really is a presidential special envoy. My role is really to advise on policy, and I do engagements for sure, but I think my main focus is building South Africa's response to this reality, to the new reality, and engaging with all the agencies of the state, but also engaging with all stakeholders in the private sector, in civil society and everywhere, so that South Africans speak with one voice on these issues, and also educating ourselves about what should our responses be.
And are you going to DC anytime soon?
Well, it's not on my agenda unless the president deemed it necessary. I'm not a diplomat, by the way. I probably will.
And how has it been, this new role? You wear so many hats, Mr. Jonas.
Look, it's like everything. Everything in South Africa tend to be plunged into how fractious and intoxicated the environment has been. We must understand that some people be way beyond when we're thinking about these things, when they were already on the ground in the US and campaigning and decampaigning South Africa, etc. I think that's something that I think we must fight against and bring a logic and a sensible voice about who we are and what we stand for.